You got 400. We need one more 100.
Go ahead.
You can do that. Cipher is completion. Okay. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
They put that thing that we use in that yard. Same way. Come on, Black. Fine page. Okay. Allah again. This time I'm here with my brother because as many of you may have heard, the Allah School development project and plan has been ongoing. It has never stopped. But we have some progress that's made, and we think it's only right that we share it. So at this point, not only do we have Beloved, we have Hasheem, we have Black Justice, Samari from Mass is on his way, and myself, Bilal. We thought it was very important as we're making progress with the large idea and concept of the Allah School development that we share it to the nation. There's some things that we've learned, and there's progress that we've been made. And we think that it's only right that we share what with us, and people can also add on. Transparency is it, because understanding is the secret, right? So, some of the points that are going to be made today, and I think it's very important that I share it up front, because many of you may be thinking about these things, right? So, I'm asking that you be patient and let us build, and then there will be an opportunity for questions and answers, right? Because you deserve that, right? So the things that we're going to build about are our preparation for this experience that we had at the mayor's office, because we indeed met with the deputy mayor. Along with that, we also had a preparation meeting with Sid Davidoff, who many of you may know, who was a part of the Lindsay administration when Allah was able to be granted that space 2122. The interesting thing about Sid Davidoff, because we hear the actual deal and relationship and the decision was between Allah and Mayor Lindsay, and we hear a lot about Barry Gatto because of the mayor's land and his important manuscript. But it was actually Sid Davidoff, who was the chief of staff at the time, who I recently have learned was the person who's done the legwork. He's still alive and a practicing attorney, and we had the pleasure of meeting with him in preparation for this meeting. The other thing that we're going to share, we're going to talk about ownership. We're also going to talk about keeping Allah School intact, like not tearing it down, right? Not tearing it down, we say it again, keeping it intact as we build on top and around. The other thing that we also will share is the process of the ownership piece. And most importantly, that this is an idea, it's a concept. It's not these five brothers saying this is the law, this is going to happen, we don't care what anyone says. No, it's a concept and an idea that we're building on, because as Bonvac says, build is build. And we think it's important that we share it with you. So if you have any questions about what we've learned and the progress we've made, you have an opportunity to do that in a formal fashion. Understand and understood? Yes. So we will begin.
Peace to the nation. My name is Beloved Allah. Originally rose in the desert, live in Sea Truth now. So as Bilal said, that we had an opportunity to have a meeting at the mayor's office. We met with our Deputy Mayor Maria Torres Springer. She's the Deputy Mayor for Economic and Workforce Development. So we had to prepare ourselves for that meeting. So we had a pre-meeting with Sid Davidoff's office. So what we want to do is just show you what we presented at the mayor's office. But first, we're going to bring everyone up to speed on where we are in our development process. This all started back in 2003, November 24th. and there were 5 of us. Myself, Allah be, peace and blessings upon both of them, Allah you justice, Black Seed, Hasheem God, and myself. We met with Austin Brown, a developer, and Max Vaughn, the senior Black architect in the city, principal of the firm, Davis Tony Bond, contributor to the National Museum of African American History and Culture in DC. And they started bringing out what is development and how do you do development. At that meeting, this is what they presented with us. These are the steps that you have to do. You got to do a title search. You got to do a zoning study, a concept plan, do a conceptual budget, and see if the performer works. So we started doing each one of those steps. We took all the steps, and it was right down to coming up with an actual design that we've got to work on together as a nation, and then going back to the city. So when the opportunity came up for us to meet with the city and give them a preview of what we would be coming with, we took advantage of that opportunity and we went to meet with them. The last thing, and I don't know if Saheem is here, Saheem is the attorney, our brother, has kept us laser focused on the issue of ownership. Through this whole process these last 20 years, he's always looking back to this. We did a title search, and the title of the school is in the city. It's in the city's name. The city was the one who granted it to us anyway. This is the deed that shows that. Nobody has seen a 99-year lease. There's been talk we had a 99-year lease, a lot of things like this. There's no record of it, so David doesn't have record of it. We have guards who are in city government. They did searches they haven't seen. The closest we've seen is this lease, this month-to-month lease from July 1967 that you see here on the screen. So we were about to go into the mayor's office, and we wanted to know how to deal with this issue of ownership. So we had this pre-meeting at Sid Davidoff's office. So this here, so the meeting, there was actually a Zoom call, and there were 5 of us who participated. There was myself, Jamari, Saheem was there, Born Justice participated, and Bilal, even though Bilal was in the background, he was at school, and there was an issue going on, so he wasn't there throughout the whole, but we were the ones who participated. The historic photo you see up there at the top, that's Sid Davidoff back in the days when he got the school for us. He was doing the legwork. That's him with Mayor Lindsay back in the day. And these were the colleagues that he had in the room when we had this call with him. So what we told them we wanted to do, we wanted to show them the same presentation that we were going to present to the mayor's office, and we just wanted them to critique it, give us any recommendations or advice. So that's what they did. So during that discussion, this is what came out of it. They asked us, did we have a copy of that 99-year lease? We told them we didn't. They said, it doesn't matter. You guys are the de facto owners of that site. It's always been everyone's vision and understanding that y'all would hold that site as a school. So what he told us to do was just to go in the meeting with the mayor's office, tell the city what we wanted, they'll tell us what we can get, and then also to request the transfer of land as part of the development deal. And the last thing he said that there were he's heard other guards have different proposals for the site, and he wanted us all to be on one page. That's consistent with what the father told us, that if we ever wanted him, all we had to do was come together. So that's what we learned going into the meeting. So the next morning, we got our meeting was at 9 o'clock in the morning. It was October 27th. We met early at the Starbucks across the street. We were over there at about 8:20. We wanted to get into the meeting early because they were pressed for time. They had events going on. So this is a picture of us in front of City Hall. There's the deputy mayor in the bottom right corner, Marie Torres Springer, and that's the picture that our brother Hasheem took in the room with us in the room doing our presentation. So we're just going to run through real quick. This is what we presented to the mayor's office. We started out with our goals that we wanted to accomplish by the meeting. We told them we wanted to provide them an overview of our proposal, to get their recommendations and advice, and to request their support for our workforce development and our development proposals. We had an agenda, give it a little overview, we'll present to them our project, talk about next steps, and have a discussion with them. So the way we started the presentation, we, gave them an overview of who the nation are, why we're here in the first place. And we started out by framing it, this is really a tale of two men. Allah, who's the father of the 5 percenters, and Mayor Lindsay, came into office in 1965. When he came into office, there was racial turmoil in New York City in the black community, so he had an outreach community to a lot of the black communities in the city. The man in Harlem, when he reached out to, was of course our father, Allah. We gave a breakdown of who the father was. Born in Danville, Virginia, saved his brother's life when he was young. What else? He served in the Korean War, he won a Bronze Star. He was a martial artist, spoke multiple languages. He returned home. When he came back home, his wife Dara had joined the Nation of Islam. He joined the Nation of Islam with her. And then in 1964, as you all know, he left the mosque, grew up with him, 120 lessons, developed the mathematics and alphabet, and came out to the streets of Harlem to teach. So when Mayor Lindsay came into office and he reached out to Harlem, this is the man that he reached out to, and this is the mayor's man. This was Barry Gothra, picture Barry Gothra, the father back in the day, historic picture of the school back in the 1960s. And when he came to Harlem, the father requested 5 things from them because he was concerned about educating the youth. He wanted to take the youth on a boat ride, a bus ride upstate, a plane ride. Many of them had never been on a plane. Many of them had never been out of Harlem before. A Broadway show, and of course a site for the school. And what I'm reminded of is my brother Hasheem here, and we're going to build with that in a second, because really his history goes back to this day and these 5 requests. We capsulated this by saying that the fruit and the benefit of that relationship bore itself in 1968, when the night Martin Luther King was assassinated. New York City was one of the few cities that didn't have violence. Mayor Lindsay was out on the street, the father and the 5 percenters, the guards and nurses were out on the street, and New York Magazine was encapsulated it the best, showing the Empire State Building resting on the shoulder of the father and his relationship with Mayor Lindsay. We told them where we are today with the school, that we have a computer lab in the school, we're doing mentorship classes that we've maintained throughout the years, and that we have a plan for a clean tech workforce development project. We showed the images of getting the street naming at the school, the 5 percenters along Justice Square, and the image of us that day of the street naming. So that was the background, and then we pivoted. We told them about our project that we wanted to show them. We gave them the whole history. We started with the meeting we had and learned what development is, all the different steps of development. And then we got to this image here, where we told them that we did a title search, and the title came up in the New York City's Department of Finance name. So that was the first time, that was a surprise to her. And but we were prepared from the day before, and we told them that, yeah, we wanted to do the transfer of land as part of the development deal. And so what she said at that time was that, yes, they could get their law department, the HPD, and city planning to assist lawyers from those divisions to assist us with the transfer of land as part of the development deal. So I think that's one of the big things that we learned throughout the whole process. We don't have to talk about 99-year lease anymore. We don't have to talk about buying the land anymore. All we have to talk about, well, let's get through it. We'll come back to our main points. We just kept giving her the history. There was a recession. Max Bond returned to the essence. We retained a new architect. I had worked with this architect in development on one of the major projects in Harlem. This is the Kalahari on West 116th Street. And then we broke down our site. Our site is 100 feet wide by 125 feet deep, 12,500 square feet. That Fred Schwartz's office did a zoning study for us and showed us, as of right, what could be built according to city regulations on that site. And what it shows is that, as of right, that you could build up to 81,250 square feet. There could be a combination, 50,000 square feet residential, 25,000 square feet commercial, and the whole thing could be community or school space if we wanted it. But as of right, these are the components that could be in a development project. So the proposal we put forward was that we do residential units about 55,000 square foot. The city has regulations. If you're putting residential units, a certain percentage of them have to be affordable housing. So we showed 20% affordable housing, 10 units, 38 units of market rate housing, a commercial space, and the redevelopment of the school. And the idea is sustainable development. Whatever we build has to support what's going to be there. So the income that's generated from the residential housing and the commercial space would support our expanded school. We talked about the school program. I don't know if you want to focus on that.
So the whole idea of the law school development is going to be multiple pronged in the sense of, in terms of the history and the knowledge of how we always had this, which is, if you really think about it, it's always been mentorship, right? Each one teach one. That's how we got it. That's how we continue to get it. That's always going to be a part of it. So no matter what we do on this site, mentorship is going to always be the theme. So it's going to be formal and informal education happening. There's also going to be a part of the space that is used not only for our teachings, but also for formal education, right? So it's going to be, so when we talk about this whole idea of workforce development, that is going to be the concept in which the school is going to be founded on. And so the actual business of the school is going to be two ways. It's going to be independent, meaning we can work in autonomy, and then also we're going to have a relationship with the city and the state in the name of collaboration. So it will always mirror the relationship that Law had when he did business with Mayor Lindsay. So we'll always have this autonomous experience where we're independent on our own, right? But also having a collaborative relationship with New York State and the city of New York. So what that means is that we also are prepared to collaborate with the local schools in District 5, because that's where our school is in, District 5. So that's Thurgood Marshall, and also, what's the other school, the high school that's there? Thurgood Marshall and Frederick Douglass, right? So we're prepared to work in collaboration with those two sites to do this type of work. So when we talk about independence, we also will have our TD programs where initially we'll start off with tutorials and mentoring, but we'll also be freestanding, so for those who could not graduate from high school, they'll be able to get their GED as well. And that's the long and short.
And just real quick, I forgot of one humanizing moment in the presentation when we gave the history, and we came to this slide here that we told them, if you look at the slide, the photo on the right, with the baby in the center of the rally in front of the father, and we told the deputy mayor, and we put this young man here today. This is our brother Hasheem at the Hasheem, you want to go over what you said at that time?
Peace, family. Yeah, you know, it's beautiful that we all on the same page. And what I mean by that is that we all trying to go to this level as to what we really want, opposed to, you know, where we at now. We got to do this, patch this up, whatever the case is, God. But ultimately, as a nation, we should be in a position where we, you know, which is exactly why I'm here in this cycle, because I went through this with the guard some time back. That's when Law B was here, and you know, not only myself but a lot of other people, we had issues with it, where we was on the same page that it would not be done. But me being in the cipher now, I'm seeing, you know, it needs to be done. And the people of like the mayor, the government, and all of them, they willing to be supportive of us as long as we are coming the way that we came from day one, right? So, with that being said, God, this is like the best information since I've been in here today. and I'm feeling the energy in here, even though everything that was spoken upon was beautiful coming from everybody, even up until the point when God asked the question. That's just who we are, you know? You're not just gonna do certain things, and that's another important point that I wanna make. You just can't come around us in the stages and phases that we're in and what we're trying to establish and still carry the same behaviors and attitudes and behaviors. You know, this thing here is an opportunity definitely for children, right? And also for individuals that need assistance in development, because that's who we are. We got brothers here, all brothers that's involved here. We all got our own companies. I'm a contractor in construction. I have 3 companies, all right? So we sat down, we all got together, and we put together what everybody else is trying to do. That's another thing, though. We all got to get on the same page. This is the reason why we're here today, because people just can't be doing, you know, different things, and everybody is not on the same page with it, because that's going to cause confusion. Right, God? So therefore, we here today, although y'all spoke about the prefab and you know, different other projects, this is the one here. And I actually wanted to name it Allah University, right? And the reason why is because that's what we deserve it of. And that's what we're gonna achieve. Like God said earlier, we don't need nobody outside the cipher to develop the things internally, the infrastructure, so to speak, right? That we need here. We don't need nobody. We can do everything we need to do ourselves. We just gotta get in order with each other, you know, like communicate with each other on a more, you know, deeper level. And really let's, you know, because all right, you want to put the prefab and stuff like that up. But ultimately, what do we really want? What do we really need? Huh? And this is where we at. Because this is for, we talk about generations after individuals that's here. Like myself, we ain't even gonna be here no more. But our children is gonna have. Right? And that's the whole concept of why we here today, and we're doing what we're doing to move forward. Right, God? So I appreciate y'all. You know,
I mean, and so what I love about Hasheem is that our first baby born in the nation was there in 1965, and it was his family that lived out a lot of those things that Mayor Lindsay had promised to the nation. So with him being part of this, also him being part of our original route. So anyway, we just wrapped up with them. We showed them ideas for the commercial space. Maybe we'll have our own business there where we teach and train about every position. Maybe we'll lease it out to some established business that benefits us as well. Finally, we went through the pro forma that we showed them that with the residential units and the commercial, it just says that the income you could get from the commercial space and the income that you could get from the residential units adds up to about $2.25 million annually, and that more than supports the spend of what the, you don't have to read all these numbers, but what it basically says is that this concept, we tested it financially, and that what we build there will support what we plan to, will support the expenses that is required. So we told them these were the next steps that we had to do, and that we ended up with what our goals were, was to give them that overview, was to get any recommendations that they gave us, and to request their support for our projects. And Hasheem requested a meeting with the mayor also. What they told us that day was that they'd be happy to support a project like this, so long as it meets the needs of the community. And that's important. And so, what we're proposing is housing and affordable housing, commercial space, and then a school, training and jobs. So everything that the community needs, we have to finish putting our plan back together. So that was the end of the presentation at the mayor's office. So just in summary, from behind everything what we learned, as I said, we don't have to talk about 99-year lease anymore, that we are the de facto owners of the site. We don't have to talk about purchasing the land. New York City will transfer the land to us as part of a development. That the city's Department of HPD law and city planning will assist us with the transfer of land. The city will support a project that meets the needs of the community. And then we talked about building as of right. But in order to get the transfer of land as part of the deal, you either have to do a variance or this, they call it the ULURP process, which is Uniform Land Use Review Process, where you go through the community board. So our next steps is we're retaining an architect now to work with us. And then that architect will come up with the actual design for the site. And we said it had to meet the needs of the community. That means first our community, everything that we want to see in this building. How we want it to look, how do we want to present it to the public. But then also the needs of the broader community, the overall Harlem community, and we'll be going before community boards and come up with a consolidated plan that meets our needs and meets the needs of the community. This requires fundraising. And I don't know, is Black Justice here?
Black Justice right here. Black
Okay.
Justice.
Our brother Black Justice is skilled in fundraising. We've done, 2 years ago in the pandemic, we had a virtual show and prove where we gave scholarships to our youth that was in the historical Black colleges and universities around the country. We raised, I think, $15,000 in cash, and a small group of us, $15,000 in cash and another $15,000 in computer equipment. So the Guard's going to lead us, and the way it's going to be set up is that there's going to be groups of us that'll do fundraising in different areas. We're going to start with a small group. God, you want to build on this?
Peace. Divine name of Black Justice from the beginning. Today in my bill, God, it's a fortunate situation with my brothers that have the social equality with. It covered all grounds for the most part. The follow-up will be my bill. That's the financial part, how we fundraising and that and etc. But what I wanted to add on briefly was, this is a conceptual draw right here. And I want to address this to the nation real briefly. The 5 guards that are in this social equality together, our word is our word, but collectively, our word is bond. So just because of what we say, what we trying to do conceptually, it's not actually what it is. It's a concept. And I'm saying that because, like the Godfather Shah said, the brother right here had an idea of building a school. Shabu, my brother, had a design of how he thought the school should be built. So there's a lot of idea and concept on how this school should be built on top of the existing structure. So this wasn't manifested, but I want to manifest is that the forum is open for any brothers, sisters, group, any other social equality to add on with their idea, with their concept of how they would think the school should move forward on the building aspect of it. However, if that is the case, you have a concept, an idea, let's formulate it in this concept to where we have an economic base, we have an educational program department, and we also can actually make it conducive for this particular community, specific community partner. So I say that, God, so this don't be spread as a rumor, pardon my language, actually I can use a better language. Their idea ain't the only idea. Who is they to say the school's gonna be like this and be like that? This is a nation, consists of many babies, gods, and earth. This is a conceptual draw-up, God, just based off of zoning and square footage. That's it. However, any brothers, sisters, group, social equality group, or whatever, have concepts of how they want to build a school, add on. But what I will say, let it be in a conceptual way like this, so that we all can pick and choose what can be bought in real time and manifested so it's beneficial to not us in the present only, but for the future. And the babies is our future, they're the greatest. I would love to see more than 10 babies under 100 adults at the parliament. I want to see 200 babies and 50 adults. If that is the case, that's my opinion. that means we rising because the babies are in presence. So however, building up this school is going to bring a lot of curriculum programs for the babies and adults who I feel as though still should be catered to in some aspect of an educational standpoint, trade sets. So this is not formulated with babies, but however, from a future standpoint, this is what we targeted. And again, all ideas can be manifested on this program bill. All ideas. We're not singling out one. I don't care if design is made by crayon. Just put it in a conceptual way so that it would make sense. Economic base, educational programming. And how would it fund itself? And on that note, again, my next bill would be my bill. The follow-up bill of what we doing would be my next bill. I ain't gonna hold it up. Peace and God's nerve.
So in closing, the other benefit is that this has given us what we've always needed. It gives us a medium. I think we're going to build on a great vision for the nation that's going to require all our skills. You know how we've got training in so many different fields? You know, I got a degree in mechanical engineering, became a professional engineer, run one of the consulting engineering firms in the city, and I'm able to use that skill in what we're doing. Those who are accountants and finance people, attorneys, all of those who's gotten skills that are out there in the world using them, we have a place now to come back and put them into action. So this is what we, next steps. We're gonna be working sessions to determine what we want, and then the needs of the broader community, education, workforce development, housing, affordable housing, construction training, and of course jobs. That's going to be all the tenets of what we plan to put together. So with that, if anyone has any questions or wants to build on anything, we can do that now.
Yo, Lord, you can't do that. I've been waiting all day and I ain't letting no more of this shit go on. Straight up.
Bill.
Straight up.
Why is you angry?
That's what I'm
What are you angry about?
Please,
Bill.
so we have a guest here, man. Listen, we have a guest here. I know y'all impatient, but let's do this right.
I got one question.
Let's do this right. You can ask your questions after.
He got an attitude. So what? Bill. You ain't even hit me. I ain't taking nothing away from him. Bill, drop it.
But look, you getting questions. Let him give you questions.
Open up the
Peace,
door.
dog. I just informed. It's a line, dog. It's a line, dog. It's a line, dog. Peace, dog. Peace, dog. It's a line, dog.
We got this.
It's all right.
I don't know if I got this or not, but
No, we got this. We got this. Understand it.
Come on, let's come
This, that. You know that means? Get off me, man. Get off me. Get off me. Then don't build. I ain't trying to get up.
I'm waiting in order like everybody else.
Let them finish, dog. Let them finish.
There's more to go on before you come on, dog. We got a guest here.
Yeah, we got to get this garbage away from you.
I already talked with him. Like I told you, man. I'm ready to
Disrespectful, y'all motherfuckers.
Good. Okay, all right.
Sit to me. He ain't disrespectful. I didn't even know he supposed to go. I said, go there. I can step back. Don't yell at me.
Yeah, please, God. We got just here.
I'm about Allah, man. Ain't about that bullshit.
Let beloved get the question. That's it.
All right, hey, all right, we got the first question. Going black ass. Will the existing building be touched? The answer is no. And let me expound on that. And then understanding that.
Any other questions?
The nation is making clear that the existing building is on the and we're going to do a short of the building as part of the development. Let me get understanding. Understanding.
All right, they can all speak. Do what y'all want to do.
Okay, guys, okay, calm down.
Do what you want to do. Do what you want to do.
Listen up! Order. We'll have order. We'll have order.
He ain't gonna just do what he wanna do.
No, Lord, if the one man build, let that man build. Let that man build. It's not going to be cut off.
Not to be doing that. Listen, if you're not speaking now, can we move away from here?
Thank you. Let that man get this build. Everybody follow after that.
All right.
Okay, you don't need it.
Hey, what's the question? That's loud.
Can we be quiet? Can we be quiet? Hold it down.
Okay, first of all, please. Listen. We need order here. Order. It's how it's going.
That's what they got, it's a construction. Oh, okay, thank you. If it's a 4-year process, will the school still be open? The way it basically goes is the first 2 years of that would be the design process. And obviously, we'll be open to the design process. Then what happens during construction? And that's what you typically get during construction. The guards will propose a prefab building that could be like a temporary structure. But all those things we're going to deal with as part of it. Say it again?
The building, when it's supposed to start?
Again, we're starting now. We already started. We're retaining the architect. What the architect is going to do is we're going to give them to bring us a concept design that we'll be able to go out and do bigger fundraising. We're going to fundraise this first amount to get the concept design. We'll have images. We'll be able to go back to the city. We'll be able to go to those with deeper pockets than us, and we're going to fundraise with that. So we picture a 2-year design process and a 2-year construction process.
Beloved, I think we mean when you break ground.
Again, 2-year design, break ground, and 2 years construction.
With the garden product, what happens to the garden product?
Okay, the question was what happens to the garden, the open space? The development we're talking about takes up the entire footprint. However, on the second floor, you could have setback areas. So there'll be an outdoor amenity space as part of it. It won't be on the ground, it'll probably be up on the second floor roof. Yes, sir.
In the process of more development, you're talking about residential, et cetera, and work area, Is this being pertaining to the nation? Everything that's being done?
Yes. He has, we're talking about residential, we're talking about commercial, we're talking about school. Will this be the nation? Yes. We would own the entire site. So we could do rentals, or we could do condominiums or units. And then the commercial space you could lease, or we could run the business ourselves. All those decisions that we're going to make. But the key is the key is that the residential and the commercial has to pay for the development and the school. So that's going to be our first guiding principle. That no matter what we do, that it's self-sustaining.
Well, we got one last question before we go. Yes, God.
Last question, please, God.
Part of this project, right, we make us be more self-sufficient, to include all of our resources in making this come to be. Is that also part of the concept of design as we go forward with this?
Repeat.
Yeah, the God is asking, as we are doing our fundraising, is it going to be collective work and responsibility, right? Is it going to be all of us, or we're going to be looking for outside donors as well, right? That's your question? What's the question?
My question is, we have various levels of assistance with skills, talents, and abilities.
Right.
Right? That apply to what's going on right
Yes.
now.
Right.
So, versus outsourcing and going to see whoever, right, that ain't gonna large farm facility, is one of the main emphasis to make sure we make this in-house as possible, as you say.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. The God's asking that all the talents we have in the nation, will those talents be put to use as part of this development? The answer is yes. Because that everything we're going to do, we're going to include, and we're going to put on those teams, on the construction teams, anyone that has skills, we're going to look to include all of them as part of it. Sabu. Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So that is it. So the whole idea of this bill was to share what we've learned over the last couple of months. We're going to continue this process, right? Because it's a great beginning, but it's only the beginning. No victory laps here, right? No victory laps here. It is what we've learned, and we will continue to share. Thank you for this time. Peace.
My name is Bilal. I don't know if y'all don't want the ladies to be in here, y'all need to get them out of here, because I got something to say. That's real. This wisdom God. They asked us, where was the devil manufactured? What's the first tool to make the devil? Separation. That's the first tool. And I'm going to speak about it because I've been listening to this whole persona right now, and I got nothing against Hasheem, Just, and all the rest of y'all that's coming on. But let's go back to the root of this right now. Because y'all didn't hear what that man said. That man said that the school will be torn down. Y'all didn't hear that.
The school will not be torn down.
All right, well then let him clarify, because he asked. All right, okay, the school ain't gonna be touched. All right, the school ain't gonna be touched. He just asked him a question 4 minutes ago, and he said that. All right, so let me go through what I'm gonna go with. Okay, because we were on the same team at the beginning. When this first started, with that school over there, I mean, that building. Yo, bro. God, I got this. Yo, no. When that building